محادثاتنا الملهمة مستمرة، وبنتعرف على كثير شخصيات في قمة المعرفة. عقد من الزمن، عقد من المعرفة، في النسخة 10 من قمة المعرفة. الآن بنروح إلى مجال، لما نسمع كلمة الاقتصاد نقول اقتصاد الدول تقوم على الموارد التقليدية. عندنا بترول وعندنا غاز وعندنا، لكن مع تطور يعني الدول أصبحت الموارد التقليدية غير كافية يعني تطور الاقتصاد. فجأة قمنا نسمع عن شيء اسمه تطور معرفي. شو نقصد بالتطور المعرفي؟ هو اقتصاد قائم على المعرفة، على البيانات، على الفكر، على تحويل هذه الأفكار إلى قيمة تصنعه العقول قبل الآلات. أنا فقط أعرف هذه المعلومة، ولكن يسرنا في هذه الجلسة أن يكون معنا الدكتور مروان الزرعوني، هو مدير التنفيذي لمركز دبي للبلوك تشين، وجلستنا بعنوان أدوات الاقتصاد المعرفي التشاركي. فأكيد بندخل في عمق هذا الاقتصاد، وكيف أن اليوم هذه البيانات، هذه التكنولوجيا، البرمجيات، إن صح هذا الشرح مني، كيف أصبحت الآن هي يعني أداة من أدوات التطور الاقتصادي للدول. فدكتور مروان، حياك الله، تفضل معنا في هذه الجلسة. يا مرحبا بك.
Assalamu alaikum. So before we start, بغيت أعرف how many Arabic speakers here? And English speakers? Okay, all right. I'll speak in English then, and then I think they have Arabic translation, but God help the translator in translating some of the terminologies here. So I'll talk about three things. So today we're talking about tooling for the new knowledge economy. So in the knowledge economy, the progress or the rate of progress is always increasing, and there are always new ideas being introduced. And I'll talk about three of them today. One of them is used to certify the knowledge or provide a layer of trust for the information being processed or verified. And then a technology that is emerging right now, but it's gaining a lot of momentum, which is called prediction markets. It's a very, very kind of new idea, but it is gaining a lot of momentum right now in providing a layer of trust and a layer of what is called crowd wisdom. And then the third one, which is the idea of engagement. In a lot of activities, including sports activities, including competitive, whether they are sports or otherwise competitive kind of spectatorship-based events, it is very hard for the audience to be participating in the outcome of that event. So I will talk more about new ways of engaging with people, whether they are sports or otherwise, but the example I will give is an example in sports. So let's start with the first concept. The first concept is the concept of providing certification in a trustless way where the information itself is trusted, not the third party that provides it. The technology that actually provides that is a technology called blockchain technology. I'll give you a bit of an idea of background of what is blockchain technology and how that can provide a layer of trust in this knowledge economy or in this knowledge age. Blockchain is a very simple idea where if you enter any kind of information into what we call a block, and very nice props here that I have. Imagine each one of those blocks having a page. For example, this is a page, and then we have on this certain block 4 pages, on this one 4 pages, and this one 4 pages. Let's ignore the one on top and bottom, only the readable pages. Imagine now every 10 minutes, each one of these pages gets laminated and no longer can be written on. So you move to this, and then 10 minutes later you can write here, and then 10 minutes later you can write on this layer, and then 10 minutes on the layer there. And then once you finish writing on this block, you move to the next one, where once you move from one page to another, this page becomes read-only. You cannot change it at all. So that being said, the first use of this technology was a network called Bitcoin network. So you'll tell me, so what does that have to do with trust? It has everything to do with trust. Because once you have that page closed and laminated, no one in the world can modify this. Nobody can hack it. Nobody can do anything with it. Okay, what does that give you in the advantage of trust? That means if I wrote the assignment and submitted it, and somebody else copied my assignment and tried to submit it 10 minutes later, even 1 minute later, it will be in a new page. And all the teacher has to do is check who submitted that and who lamented that on the chain before that. You'll say, okay, this is a setting of a classroom. What about things like IP? If I invented something and I submitted it for a patent or submitted it, or even on chain, not even as a patent, will anybody coming after me be able to submit that and get that patented? No, because I submitted before that. The blockchain provides trust in time. So all blockchain is doing is providing you a mechanism of putting any kind of knowledge, whether it is video, audio, anything digital that can be submitted to a third party, in this case on the cloud, to a chain where no one can break that chain and pretend or go back in time 30, 40 minutes and modify the page that was done earlier in time, because nobody can do time travel and go back to that block and change the information there. You can only submit information in time. So what does that give you? That gives you a really good kind of timestamp of how and when and who submitted what information. And that provides a really good kind of knowledge marketplace where the knowledge is verified, but also the knowledge is cemented and locked in with accountability layer, as well as credentials can be done that way. A lot of other mechanisms can be provided this way. One of the ideas that I will explain here, how is that used when it comes to things like websites. So when you launch a traditional website, that website has a domain name. And everyone can register a domain name. But the problem with domain names, without the use of blockchain, the normal domain names, after you submit a domain name, after maybe a year, if you don't renew it, that domain name expires and you lose access to it. With Web3 domain names, once you register a domain name, that domain name stays with you forever. And only the first person that was able to register that, because we're using, again, blockchain technology, only the first person that registers it can be able to own that domain name. And that domain name is tied to their identity and their digital kind of identity and wallet ID in this case, which is his digital identity. That provides a human readable kind of record, but also provide reliable, readable identity. It provides a digital presence that nobody can take away from you. It does not expire, so it is set in time. And it gives you a way where you have self-sovereignty over your information, your assets. If somebody wants to transfer money to you, that domain name and that Web3 domain can actually provide you a more human readable, just like a normal domain name. If somebody wants to transfer money to me, you can go to drmarwan.x, for example, and that would be me. Nobody in the world can have drmarwan.x because I bought that domain name a long time ago. If you compare that to the normal domain names, for example, marwan.com, which I also own, Marwan.com, actually, if I don't renew it every year, it expires. If it expires, anybody can buy it, basically. But with Web3 domain names, it actually stays on forever. That's one of the aspects that I wanted to discuss with you, which is the domain names. The other thing is this wallet-based. Another idea that comes from blockchain is the idea of something called Coinbase, or the idea of using money on chain, which means there's a record, just like what we have here on the chain, a record of information. You can have it also as a record of money or money transfer. So imagine if I have $10, and that $10 I wanted to transfer to somebody else. In the traditional banking system, that $10 will be transferred through a bank. So the bank will be actually keeping the record. And that is centralized to one entity. When we think about blockchain technology, that bank does not exist. The bank is the record itself on chain, which means that there is one source of truth worldwide for transferring value from one person to another. I'll talk about now some new idea within blockchain, which is called soul-bound tokens. Just like I explained about the ledgers for money transfer, just like I talked about the ledger for keeping records, and that how is that frozen in time every 10 minutes or so. There is an idea of something called NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. Non-fungible tokens are basically certificates of ownership. So imagine if I finish a course and I want to get rewarded for that course with a certification. And instead of them sending me a certification in digital form and that certificate being lost, imagine them sending that to me on my Web3 domain, which is, in this case, for example, drmarwan.x. That certificate, when it has this kind of feature, which is called soul-bound token, is actually bound to that domain name and bound to that address, which means if I, Dr. Marwan, receive the certificate, I cannot transfer it to anybody else, and that certification does not expire. So, for example, if that was a certification of achievement, completing a course, passing an exam, passing any kind of other achievement, that all being on-chain can be done. In this case, this could be employment history, this could be event attendance, or what is called POP, which is proof of attendance. This could be membership credential of a certain club or something like this. This idea was actually envisioned by the Ethereum ecosystem, and one of the founders of Ethereum, his name is Vitalik Buterin. But us in the UAE, we created our own version of this called the seal-bound tokens, which are exactly like soul-bound tokens, but issued by a centralized entity. For example, if you are RTA, or if you are a school, or you are any other government entity, and you want to issue a certificate that you want to expire, or you want to be able to revoke it, unlike seal-bound tokens, which is issued once, never expires, seal-bound tokens actually can be revoked if you do a misconduct, or you, for example, if it's a driver's license, if you have a certain number of black points that is expired, or any other kind of reason where you want to revoke that certification, you can actually do that with something like seal-bound tokens. So those are some of the use cases, from proof of attendance to proof of achievement to persistence to revocation to having instant issuance and instant revocation capabilities, and on a public ledger with anybody in the world being able to verify that, self-submitting, self-proof, and proof over in a digital way that is undisputed that you actually contributed or voted or achieved a certain milestone. This could be electronically done without any human interaction. For example, when you can program an IoT device, when you actually click on the attendance, that actually gets registered on chain. So you cannot fake arriving 5 minutes earlier or 10 minutes earlier, or leaving earlier or later, or it can be done by a human. For example, once you pass a certain course, that could be submitted by the administrator of that course. So I'll give another example, which is called prediction markets. So we talked about domain names, Web3. We talked about soul-bound tokens. We talked about seal-bound tokens. Those are the certify aspect of the talk. Now we're talking about the prediction markets or prediction platforms. The idea for prediction markets came right after a certain number of people were very frustrated that they wanted to buy a house, and the person who was their contractor wanted to charge them a certain amount, and they wanted to charge them, and there was no reference on how much you can charge for building a house in this way. And this guy was very frustrated. He sued the contractor, and when he won, when he got the bill from the lawyer, he was even more confused that there was no standard of how much the lawyer should charge. So he was thinking maybe there should be a crowd-based kind of a network where people, all the lawyers, all the people who are clients of lawyer can actually reach a consensus of how much should a contractor charge for a certain job. And also, not only that, but also be rewarded for submitting that kind of quote or assessment of that. So you'll tell me, okay, what does that have to do with blockchain? What does it have to do with the knowledge economy? What does that have to do with any kind of creating new knowledge or verifying existing knowledge? It has everything to do with that. There's a lot of times where we have soft knowledge of how much we think somebody should charge for a certain job, how much should a verdict go, or how the verdict should go in certain cases, but also if that piece of news that you just heard that is breaking news is actually breaking news or falsified information, and who is actually benefiting from a certain piece of news being spread. Prediction networks have been used right now, and we've been using them for a number of years now for everything from reaching consensus on how much should somebody charge for a certain service, and any two parties can go and consult the prediction network. There's a cryptocurrency called Rhubarb, where you can, both parties who are disputing a charge can go there and consult the crowd, whether they are lawyers or they are other professionals, people who had cases similar to this, and how was the outcome and how much was the charge. This is number one. Number two, it is used for news outlets to verify a certain news, breaking news. If you submit a breaking news and that turns out to be false, you actually penalized for submitting that. If you submit a news report that actually turns out that was breaking news, that nobody else reported it before you, because remember, blockchain has time built into it. If you submit it and you are the first one to submit, and that breaking news turns out to be truth and actually a breaking piece of news for sure, not fake news, you will be rewarded. The first person reporting that will be rewarded, of course, and getting more kind of incentive to report breaking news and get rewarded for it. So it could be used for also foresight. So imagine you say that by the end of 2025, there will be a million, for example, jobs created by AI in a certain sector in a certain country. That's a measurable outcome, and you have a deadline time-wise. If you can actually predict that correctly, you can actually put that on a prediction network, and people can vote for it or against it. And if it actually happens, and the end of 2025, you will actually get rewarded for it. This is one of those things where you are actually incentivized to not only predict, but also if you are predicting in the correct way, you are incentivized and rewarded financially for that kind of prediction if people are interested to find out the truth about, or that piece of information is valuable to anyone. One of the use cases for that is called SI Predict. It is basically a prediction market for sports world, and it's not the outcome of a game, but rather what will happen the next season. Our new rules are going to be introduced. All these kind of soft, not hard, like a team wins over another team 5-0 or 3-1. It's not the outcome of a result, but it's how the sports is being reshaped. What is the likelihood of a certain rule being introduced? What is the likelihood of this sport gaining so much fanhood or any other kind of soft kind of outcome that normal mechanisms will not be able to predict. So we talked about certification and how that can be done on the blockchain. We talked about also prediction markets and how that can be used for predicting the news, forecasting, sports, direction, or any kind of direction or foresight that can be otherwise not really predictable, not really incentivized for anyone to make predictions in. When you create a mechanism for rewarding people for their predictions and their insights and their knowledge, there might be very, very narrow vertical knowledge within a very narrow kind of space. You create kind of a value chain where you can get insights and create new knowledge that otherwise will not be captured or otherwise will not be rewarding. The third part of my talk is about a new concept of interactive knowledge. How is that important? Imagine you're watching a football game and you are a really good fan of a certain team, and you know for a fact if they put in a certain player that he will change the outcome of the game. Right now, all you can do is shout at your friends in your majlis or the coffee shop, oh, they should put this guy now, 72nd minute, they should put this guy, he will change the outcome of the game. But you're not the coach. The ultimate decision happens with the coach, right? The coach is the only person that can put that person on the field. But now imagine a totally different world where blockchain and prediction markets exist and a lot of other mechanisms exist, where not only you'll be able to voice your opinion, but that opinion being actually resulting in an outcome in real time. For example, if enough people think that player number 3 should come into the field at the 72nd minute to change the outcome of the game, guess what will happen in Arena 2, which is the next imagination of sports interaction? He will actually come on the field. Imagine there's a decision, right, by a referee that this should be a handball, or this should be an offside, or it should be any other thing. Right now, the only person that makes that decision is the video referee, even though all of us see the video. Imagine every single person that sees the video referee being able to voice that this is a handball and this is offside, on both sides, by the way, because at the end of the day, you are not caring about if it was your team or the opposing team. You are actually, humans naturally are truthful about a certain situation. If they see the video and you have enough inputs, you are more likely to make the right decision. But imagine now, if you make the right decision, you get actually rewarded. So if most people said that's a handball, and it turns out to be a handball, then you will actually get rewarded with the majority of the voices. And it turns out to be not a handball, then you will actually be penalized for that choice. So this is a new kind of building on certification, building on prediction markets, and building on interactivity. You will create this kind of new arena for interaction, a new arena for having more immersive kind of interactions, not only in sports, but sports is the first go-to-market kind of use case. And Arena 2 is nothing out of the ordinary. It's nothing that is imagined and will never happen. Arena 2 is an actual project that is going live, and actually from here, from Dubai. It's an experiment, but it is an experiment built on real science and built on real aligned incentives, and really will push the boundaries of interaction and build a new wave of experts who are not only saying what should be done and what the right outcome is, but actually getting rewarded for it. So imagine now a world filled with these guys who are super forecasters. Now imagine, because everything is on-chain and everything is captured on this public ledger that nobody can dispute because that was done in time, you will have a really good reputation system going all over the world. The person who predicted the most accurate results of every video referee, the person who predicted every outcome of every case that was in the court system, a person who was really good in detecting how much they should charge, how much a contractor should charge, how much a lawyer should charge, how much any kind of work should be priced, will get a good reputation as a good pricer. All of these reputation could help create a society where you have a really good kind of, not soft skills, but in this case, quantifiable skills that can be used for getting, a job or getting a reference or getting, rather than you dictating what is said on your CV, you can share your domain name, Web3 domain name, as your reputation of your track record of everything that you participated in, whether it was in entertainment, or in judgments, and news, and other foresight and prediction. This creates good reputation, gives you a better status in the community, shows influence. Right now, as you know, we're in a society where attention, influence, and focus are the currency. Influence, when you have provable kind of record, is much more valuable, and also gives you a sense of belonging to credentials, achievements that are all on chain. Gives you a sense of where you belong in the hierarchy of society, but also the hierarchy of your peers as well. I mentioned all of this here, contribution. This incentivizes people to share their knowledge, which would otherwise be a soft knowledge. To influence people to make predictions, create new content, give a level of assurance of every content that is created. People can vote if this content should be, just like you have likes and dislikes and videos and posts, you'll have likes and dislikes on every kind of content that you can have, that you're actually rewarded for liking and disliking rather than the other way around. Where it's just for the platform. Now it becomes more value aligned. Right now, like I said, in 2024, 2025, we're in the foundation phase of these kind of technologies. Like I mentioned, in 2026, Arena 2 will go live, and only the market will decide how that goes. And then new standards in sports, new standards in how we consume this kind of knowledge will emerge. And then by 2028 to 2020 and 2030 and beyond, this might become a mainstream, and everyone will not need even to understand how this technology works, but will be more likely using it in the background without even realizing it. So what will happen is everyone will be much more engaged. Everyone will have a say in the news. Everyone will have a say on trust, and will have a kind of influence and not soft power in this case, but more of a quantifiable kind of power in society, and will create a more kind of democratized knowledge economy. So for that to happen, everyone has to take part. For that to happen, the technology has to be abstracted. So using it has to be much more streamlined, and using it has to be in a way that society will get benefit from it, and each person will be benefiting from it, where the incentives are aligned, but also there are rewarding mechanism for each kind of interaction with technology, whether it is on the sports field or in the court and judicial system, or even in the news. So thank you very much. I'll open it up now for questions. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. So we have a question here. Do we have a mic, or how does that work? Yeah.
Hello? Can you hear me? Oh.
Yeah.
Hi. So thank you so much for your expose. There's just so much information, so I had to ask it fast before I forget. So my question is mostly on the prediction part, because it allows everyone or people who feel like they have certain information to contribute. But I'm just wondering, how does that also then make it reliable? Because it's honestly at the discretion of the person who's providing the information, agreeing that they're making a calculated guess or a calculated prediction, but how does it make it one reliable, and how accurate it is? And then just to follow up on that, the other question is, you've given us all the benefits of these technologies in the future moving forward, but I'm just wondering, what are the potential risks that could arise from that you would have identified? Yeah, that's it.
So thank you for the question. So when it comes to the first question, which is how do you make sure that it's accurate or not? So when it comes, it's threefold, right? We have one use case, which is in the court system. This is number one. Number two is when it comes to news. And then number three is foresight, right? So for the first use case, which is the rhubarb, for example, or people's court, or any kind of crowd wisdom judgment system, there are actually sworn-in lawyers and judges, or retired judges, or retired police officers that are actually onboarded in the system with all their bar exams, and there are even current lawyers and judges that are onboarded, and those have a more of a weighted kind of vote rather than a normal person that will actually, for example, a contractor or another person who understands, or industry people, right? So verified credentials, again, remember the first one is Certify. So verified credentials will add weight to your vote, and that is captured on chain. This is how you bring in the verification layer. But also the weight system for a verified vote is higher than a non-weighted person who actually a third party, anybody of us can vote as well on that case, but would have a lower weight in the final outcome. So once all the judges and all the lawyers that or minimum kind of threshold is reached, that's when the judgment is issued. And that way, with the verification of credentials on chain and verification of everyone that voted, and then having a timeline for that vote and a certain, I would say, quorum for reaching that vote. Once you get to that point, they're very accurate, actually. Actually, prediction markets are much more accurate than a normal, well-seasoned judge, because a lot of times humans, even AI, can make mispredictions given the inputs that are put in. So prediction markets have outperformed, historically speaking, judges who are human and also judges who are AI. So prediction markets, because of the incentives mechanism, does a better job. So the second question was, what about abuse, right? So
Identifying the risk, yes, and abuse.
So when it comes to sports, the more predictions that you make that are wrong, you're actually disincentivized to to make the wrong decision. So you actually lose money every time you make a wrong prediction when the outcome comes out. So for example, if you say, I predict that a certain player will play on the 72nd minute, but all the other people don't think so, that player will never come on and you'll lose the money that you put in, because you have to, every time you actually have to vote for a certain outcome, you have to pay for it. It's a small amount, but if you make 20, you're incentivized to make 20 requests. You only make certain requests that you think other people will agree with. That's why the crowd wisdom comes on. So it's financially unrewarding for you to make predictions that you don't think are feasible or doable, and you're more incentivized to make ones if you really believe that this is going to happen. You put your money where your mouth is, literally in this case.
Okay, so I think so that's like a risk that's identified on the supplier side. So I'm just now wondering, is there any risk that has been identified from us, like on the public side, me who has to vote? Yes, I have voted on this thing based on your prediction. It didn't happen. I understand the risk that you incur at the person who predicted, but how about me?
What do you mean? The team itself?
Yes.
So this is what we're experimenting with right now. So it might not always be the right decision, but it is the popular decision. So this is the caveat for these kind of systems. The caveat is there's a lot of books written about this. There's a book called Life in Bits or Think in Bits. There's a lot of other ways of thinking about risk in totally different ways. But end of the day, I think this gives you prediction markets are a good kind of indicator of how things are moving. And it's a way to capture a new kind of knowledge that usually will not be captured otherwise. This is the only way that you can capture it. Other than that, I think it's a good kind of litmus test of what people are thinking and a good way to capture things other than ratings. Right now, the only way to capture if people are happy with certain things are ratings, and they're very kind of, in this age of internet and AI and social media, ratings is outdated. And I think prediction markets and interactive sports in a way of using these kind of mechanisms will be much more mainstream because we are ready right now. We have AI, tools, we have fully digital kind of games right now. Every football game you watch, every mixed martial arts sport, every softball, baseball, basketball, every single one of them captures so many data points that the normal spectator will now become not a spectator anymore, will be an influencing spectator on the game, or can become. And right now, the normal sports outlets and normal sports franchises are not capturing that. And Arena 2 is one of those that are exploring and pushing the envelope when capturing this fanatics who are not only fans, but they are super fans that want to actually be part of the game, literally in this case.
I think my last question is that, so I'm just wondering, like a lot of it right now sounds like it's very targeted towards entertainment. So
not necessarily. It's news as well.
Sorry?
News as well. So any breaking news,
and
social
news,
media.
Yes.
Influence
so I'm just
as well.
wondering if moving forward, it's being planned to like expand to other areas as well, like economy, like businesses and all of that.
Yeah, 100%. So there's a lot of futures market. There's a lot of other prediction-related markets that are already live. So those are already mature as well. So prediction markets don't really add value in those spaces because, like I said, those are mature and people do those kind of bits to hedge their investments sometimes as well. But I think interactive sports is an emerging area. That's why I brought it up. But there's a lot of other use cases for prediction markets in the actual economic side and actual betting and that kind of stuff. And I don't want to get into that kind of world because that's already a mature area that is there. Prediction markets adds one product in that kind of vertical, but it is not where the value take is, and this is not where new knowledge is created. We are sitting in the knowledge kind of conference, and I wanted to share how prediction markets can add to the knowledge that we have and also contribute in a different way than things like options, trading, or economic kind of aspects.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Any other questions? We have 2 minutes, so one last question. All right, thank you very much.